Welcome. Today we want to look at finite and non finite verbs. What are finite verbs and what are non finite verbs? These are categories of verbs and they are very important. Now let's dive in. By the end of this lesson, you should be able to describe finite and non finite verbs, differentiate between finite and non-finite verbs, and also identify finite and non-finite verbs in sentences. Now, what are finite verbs? In grammar, a finite verb is a type of verb that can change its form when the number or the person and the tense change. In other words, what that means is it is limited by number and person. There must be an agreement between the verb and the subject in terms of number and person. Now, what this is saying is for you to have a finite verb, it must have an agreement with the subject in terms of number and person. If the subject is singular, the verb must also be singular. So there must be a kind of harmony between the subject and the verb. And also there must be the agreement between the subject and the verb in terms of person. Is the subject in first person or in second person or in the third person? So the verb must agree with the person of the subject. This we call finite verb when it agrees with the subject in terms of number and person. And it can change. You can actually change it from present tense to past tense. So any verb that you can change from present tense to past tense, past participle, it changes with the subject. That is a finite verb. Let's look at some examples. Lola dances. Lola is the subject here. Dances is the verb. This verb agrees with Lola because Lola is a singular subject. Therefore, dances, which is also a singular verb, agrees with a singular subject. Then, second one, we have Lola and Tolu dance. Here we have plural subjects, and as a result, we must have plural verb, and that gives us dance. Lola and Tolu dance. You can see that there's a difference between example 1 and example 2. In example 1, we have Lola singular agreeing with dances, which is also singular verb. Then in the second one, we have the plural subject and the verb also is plural. That is the finite verb agreeing with the subject. Success comes through hard work. Success is in agreement with comes, which is in the present form, and also agreeing with the subject in terms of number. We come across a big fish. We, subject, and it's also in the plural form. It agrees with come, which is a plural verb. So these verbs underlined here, they are finite verbs because they agree with their subjects. And these finite verbs can actually change in terms of number and person. We can change them into past tense, all of them. Now, what about non-finite verbs? A non-finite verb does not have any agreement with a subject in the sentence, unlike the finite verbs. Here, there's a verb that usually comes immediately after the subject. This verb agrees with the subject before the occurrence of the non-finite verb. Let's look at some examples. She likes dancing. Here we have two verbs, likes and dancing. Likes here agrees with the subject, which is the pronoun she. Dancing does not agree with the subject. Therefore, dancing that does not agree with the subject is called or referred to as a non-finite verb. Ade is working on a project. Is agrees with Ade, singular subject, singular verb. But working does not agree with Ade. So you cannot say Ade working. And you cannot say in example one, she dancing. That doesn't really make any sense. It is because there is no agreement between the subject and that verb. So such verbs are referred to as non-finite verbs. What are other ways of identifying a non-finite verb? Let's see some other ways. All verbs marked by to are called infinitives. For example, to go, to read, to shout, etc. So when we see this form of verb, they are non-finite verb. To err is human. That expression there, group of word, is a non-finite verb. To go there is dangerous. To infinitive, that is a non-finite verb. Then, when the verb is in the participle form, that's the second way of identifying a non-finite verb. When the verb is in the participle form or in ing form, it is a non-finite verb. For example, Shade enjoys dancing. Like we saw earlier, Shade enjoys doing something. Dancing is a form of verb here showing the ing form or the participle form. She enjoys dancing. Dancing here does not agree with Shade. It is enjoys that agrees with Shade. So dancing here is considered a non-finite verb. Singing is a hobby. Singing is in ing form. It is therefore in the non-finite, it's a non-finite verb. The third way of identifying a non-finite verb is when a verb is used to function as an adjective in a sentence, it is a non-finite verb. So it is no longer functioning as a verb, it is used to function as an adjective. Example is this: he introduced me to the educated woman. Here, educated is not being used as past tense of the verb educate. It is used as an adjective qualifying the woman. Therefore, the educated here used as adjective as a qualifier is referred to as a non-finite verb. He was a determined leader. Determine originally is a verb, but here is being used to qualify the leader. So it functions here as an adjective and we call it a non-finite verb. Now let's look at this activity together. Is the underlined verb in each of the following sentences a finite verb or a non-finite verb? Identify which one is finite and which one is a non-finite verb. You can pause the video for a moment to attempt the activity. Then we look at the result together. Now, these are the answers to the questions, to the activity. Compare it with what you did if it is the same thing that you have here, if the answers are correct.